Ambassador Angelica Navarro of the Bolivian government, and we all know that she and the government of Bolivia has been taking the lead in asserting the notion of climate debt in the negotiations. So I'm going to not waste time and hand it over to her right now. Thank you, Angelica.
Thank you very much.
Mike.
I'm not sure, yeah, thank you very much, actually, and I have to say that your initial applause goes straight to the heart, because I have to tell you that negotiating in the other center, that is the Bella Center, is quite tough. So I'm here to tell you the initiative of Bolivia, what we think, but also to seek your help on trying to push our common agenda. I just want to mention very briefly what is that Bolivia is proposing, and I will start by the concept of climate debt that Bolivia is introducing, not only as part of the negotiation, but also with other countries as submissions that have been put forward to the working group on the Kyoto Protocol, but also on the working group on long-term cooperative action. And I wanted to explain where this concept came from. Just to give you a couple of examples. Tunia and Condori are two glaciers that give water to two of the main cities in Bolivia, including the capital, La Paz, and El Alto. And they have reduced by between 40 and 50% in the last decades. We have losses of our GDP between 4 to 17%, depending on the year, on the worst case scenario. And of course, indigenous peoples in the lowlands and also in the highlands and suffering from either droughts, increased droughts, or either increased flooding. We are already suffering all this, and we have done nothing to cause it. Our calculation is that 20% of the population have emitted more than 2/3 of current emission, and this has caused more than 90% of current climate temperature increases. Therefore, Bolivia considers that it's developed countries that owe a climate debt to developing countries. This debt has to be paid to us. And we are mentioning that this debt has to be twofold. The first one is that they have to repay regarding their own emissions. They have to have ambitious reductions in the Kyoto Protocol well beyond anything that you're seeing at the table. 40% is well below what we need. 45% is even low. Even the Bolivian current position, but don't tell that to others, is not enough. We've put in 49% to 2017. Why is this not enough? Because they have to bring us back all the atmospheric space they have overconsumed on the back of developing countries and on the earth. And that is a number that is beyond 49, 80, 90, 100 is negative. Why do I say that? Because they have to go down and to reduce all the past emissions since the historical revolution to zero, but on top of that they have to free space for developing countries to carry on a sustainable development, because we don't want to develop in the irresponsible way they have done. But on top of that, they have to provide developing countries with transfer of technology and finance enough not only to have a sustainable path of development, but also to comply with their current obligations in the convention that they haven't done for 15 years. And I still don't understand how developed countries that are so serious in WTO and other arenas, when they have just ratified, signed, and the parliaments have ratified an agreement, have not implemented Article 4.3 and 4.7 of paying the full incremental costs of what they have caused to developing countries. This is not new. This is not something that we're going to negotiate in Copenhagen. This is something that is already in convention, and developing countries were waiting for 15 years to developing countries to just implement. So this is the emission debt. It's ambitious, but it's realistic, according to the reality of developing countries, no other realities. Coming to the second part of the debt, developed countries already have an adaptation debt to us. What is this adaptation debt? It's the harm they are causing to our communities, to our land, to our earth, to our forest. And this adaptation debt, some part is just unavailable. Whatever amount of money you give me, it will never, and I repeat, it will never compensate a single glacier that will be lost in Bolivia, a single species that will be lost in one of our rainforests. This is not about money, because we are not beggars. We are just asking for reparation by developed countries so they pay us their debt. Very much, that goes straight to the heart. I wish more developed countries did that too, also in the negotiations. But apparently they have other ideas in mind. But coming back to what I was saying, unfortunately they have misbehaved so badly with the earth, with our land, and with developing countries, that is not apparently technically possible to do these negative emissions for now. So we're saying, okay, you cannot go to minus, let's say, 130 something that we need for 2017, and let's go for a number. But your debt will increase. If you cannot pay everything now, your debt will increase. That means that the less you do that now, if you do just 20%, then you're increasing the debt. The more you do now, the less your debt will be at the end. But also, you can repay part of your debt by transfer of technology. And there I want to make a key point on technology transfer and intellectual property rights. We know that the trade rules are not rules for developing countries. There are trade rules, and I'm sorry to say that for our friends here, but there are just a handful of developed countries that they decide on trade rules. And we have also to change them. We have to modify them so there is no barriers as intellectual property rights in the transfer. And Bolivia is asking for, if possible, revocation of IP laws, and that we have another battle in WTO after the one in Copenhagen. But of course, we have to use also licensing that I can come back later on. But they can also pay part in finance, because I don't want to choose between adapt and poverty eradication. That is just one of the most unfair and unjust choices that they are asking us to do. On top of that, I don't want to come back, but one of the proposals, some, like the Danish proposal, is that we pay. So we pay 3-4 times. We pay in debt, we pay in droughts, we pay in loss of species, in loss of glaciers, and also they are asking us now to pay on top of this on finance. So they can devote a substantial part, and for adaptation we are asking 3% of their GDP. And this is not even a fraction of what they did to the banks, but apparently, of course, life is less important than finance. For them, of course. But just coming back to a very third part of the Bolivian proposal, and I want to convey part of a discussion of a side event that we did yesterday on relations of the rights of Mother Earth. We think that developed countries have adapted not only to developing countries, but also to our Mother Earth, that in indigenous language we call Pachamama. And I just want to convey the words of my minister when I came here for negotiation. I told him I don't need my north to guide. I want you to give me my south and guide me. And he told me, are your instructions. And I hope he is okay. I'm sure he's okay that I share my instructions with all of you. And he told me the following 2 points. Everything that Bolivia has to fight is for life. Life is the most important and precious part of us. We have to fight because we are living the dictatorship of money. But in Bolivia, we want to bring you this ancient wisdom from the heart of indigenous and non-indigenous people, translated in English in the following words. There is a word that is called halaya, and halaya means for life. And my instruction is to go halaya Pachamama, and this is for the life of our Mother Earth. And why is that? Because he told me you have to fight for everything that has life and bring life. Because we are all uyumatas. Uyumatas means we are all brothers. We are all creatures of Mother Earth. And water is the milk that Mother Earth gives us to all of us. So the little ant, the little grass, the little butterfly and humans, we are all brothers. And this is my instructions, to fight for life and try to bring a more harmonious relationship between planet and developed countries. He told me also that we have learned not to take care of Mother Earth, and we have not learned to preserve ourselves from ourselves. And that in this dictatorship of money, developed countries have lost their south or their north. They have to come back to have an harmonious life with nature. And we have to, from the south, teach them back to do that. We are bringing capacity building to the north on how to live a harmonious and also healthy relationship between human beings and the earth. We are not two, we are just one. And if you hurt Mother Earth, you're hurting yourself. If you don't respect Mother Earth, you are disrespecting yourself. But it seems that developed countries have a better relationship with money. They respect more money than the earth, and they value more money than the earth. The relationship is completely flawed, and we have to teach them to do better. So that is why I'm here. Halaya Pachamama.
Thank you. Yeah, Angelica needs to leave, so we will probably maybe, if we can ask about 5 minutes from her, entertain 1 or 2 questions, because she will not be around at the end of this panel where we are going to have an open forum. So we can maybe entertain 1 or 2 questions for and response.
Some negotiation.
Yes.
If I just wanted to bring, I'm sorry to be so long and also have to leave, but I just wanted to seek your help actually on the negotiations. What we are living, and I'm sad to say, is a very untransparent, undemocratic, non-participatory, top-down process. You heard what was the leaked paper from the presidency. So I'm not talking only about process, but the content also. Just forgetting about developed countries' commitment, that is killing the Kyoto Protocol, just getting one agreement that will implement new commitments to developing countries to make us pay for something that we didn't really make. And I heard, but I will have the confirmation in a couple of hours, that also our president in the negotiations is preparing or cooking something surprise for us. And we need your help. We need your help to make this process really democratic, really participatory, inclusive, and bottom up. Otherwise, I don't know what we are doing, 190 countries, put in all our efforts, small developing countries put in a lot of money to come here, if this deal will be cooked between 30 or 40 countries. I don't think that 30 or 40 countries have the right just to impose a solution, so-called, an unfair, unbalanced, and unjust solution in 192. I don't want that to happen, and we need your help to redress this imbalance and have a real democratic process. So I hope you can teach the Bella Center leaders and also the Danish presidency on what is democracy, on what is participation, on what is inclusiveness. Please do help us on that. We need your help. Thank you. We need you. Bolivia is not alone because I heard your process. But also Bolivia is not alone because, for instance, LDCs put a proposal also on climate debt, and this is more than 50 countries. We are not alone because yesterday in a press conference we mentioned that we don't want this non-science-based, I'm sorry to be so explicit, silliness of 2 degrees. 2 degrees for the north, but you have to add at least 1 degree for the south. So when they say 2, actually they're talking for at least 3 or more for us. What we are talking about is that we should go, and I talked with an island negotiator that he said we want to go to pre-industrial levels. We should have zero climate change. And I think he's right. So Bolivia is saying we have to go below 1 degree. And I was very happy to hear in a press conference, we did that yesterday. And I was very happy to hear that in today's IOASIS press conference, that represent several dozens of countries, a journalist pick it up and say, well, you're asking for 1.5 as a group, but Bolivia just presented below 1. What is your position? And I always say that we are supporting any group that is asking for more. But it's true that we need to go further, and we need to build these alliances. So we have to learn from you and from the people that is already gathered here to get these alliances. I am very proud to announce that my president will be here, but also the ALBA president will be here, and there's going to be the 17th, a gathering, of which of course you are all invited to participate in, and of course anyone else is welcome to join. Finally, on how to do the capacity building. For the North. The main problem, I think, is two. It seems that they have isolated, they have forgotten what is a healthy relationship with Mother Earth. And it's like they are not hearing anymore. And myself, I was wondering why is that we are suffering more in the South. And my only answer to myself was like me, because we are nearer to the Mother Earth and we're still hearing her. And we have to convey this message to the North. And how are we going to do that? One is, of course, that we are talking we're still not talking about the real cause of this problem. We're just talking about emissions reductions and numbers. But what is the root cause? And the root cause is capitalism. It's a market system. It's finance and trade unfair system. And I'm again very encouraged with you because this is so hard to be passed in Bella Center. So please lobby your governments. We need more help. And that is why we're here, because we know that climate change is the biggest failure of the market. And right now what we have is like we have at least 3 crises: food crisis, financial crisis, climate changes. And what we're seeing is the limits of a system. And believe me, they must know it. And I'm sure they are very scared. But we have to help them to open their eyes, to open their ears, and to open their hearts, and bring back solidarity to us. They have to hear us. So the next challenge is like, how are we going to bring that and to do capacity building to that. We have to do it through our hearts. We have to bring them to, for instance, parliamentarians can come, or grassroots that are suffering in the north and that South can meet, but also through high-level political level. That is the message that my minister, that my president is coming. We have just passed days ago a resolution on the rights of Mother Earth, but is the harmony with nature. We're asking the Secretary General compile information of what each country thinks about a harmonious relationship with Mother Earth. And you're welcome, of course, to bring your suggestion to the Secretary General. We're starting bit by bit, but we have to build a coalition. And I'm here also to bring this message and to bring this coalition with you so I can bring a stronger voices in Bella Center. So thank you.
Okay. Yes, Ambassador Navarro has to rush back to the negotiation, so we thank her again for spending time with us.